We are getting
all right, we're on.
Of some North Carolina prisons this morning. And so we want you to know, like, wow, they got Christmas like while they preparing for the holidays. There are people who are locked inside of cages in the midst of one of the worst pandemics that this country has ever experienced in our lifetime, like ever in my lifetime, right? And so, like, we thought that this type of situation would definitely be the situation where the folks in power, in positions of power, will be agreeable and amenable to allowing people to go home. And we just see that that's just not the case. That despite there being one of the worst pandemics that this country has ever faced, not only has the governor not issued any pardons for folks, we got Josh Stein's attorney yesterday defending inexcusable.
To interrupt, Christy, would you be a little closer to the phone? It's kind of hard to hear.
So we get ready to go. Now to the women's prison here, and then we're going to go to the men's prison. We're not going to go to the now in the war. Muff, what you got to say?
Good morning. But yeah, we out here. You want to hop on and join the caravan? You can meet us at the women's prison, NCC, like maybe 5 to 10 minutes.
And let me say that we are out here 2 months. I don't know what it is. Okay, if you see, we're out here standing in solidarity with our sisters, the National Council for Incarcerated and Formerly Incarcerated Women and Girls, who we are proud members of the council. And so the council has been doing the work of clemency for many years, and they've had lots of. Girl, I don't know why Jason Aldean keep playing on my phone. This is like, wow. This is Facebook fucking with me, trying to get me blocked. Yeah. This ain't never happened before with no damn music.
Yeah, with music, right?
Right, like Facebook trying to get me blocked. They actively trying to get me fucked up. Well, tell them about National Council.
Okay, so yes, the National Council has for years have their unapologetically advocate and fight for the decarceration of women and girls. And even though, of course, they want to free them all, they want to free her. They want to free the mothers, the grandmothers, the sisters, the aunts. And they've been doing clemency packets in North Carolina for a very long time. So thank you to Phyllis Grandma Hardy, who's the matriarch of the National Council. And she has been doing the footwork for a long time in North Carolina. And Governor Cooper has not responded with any type of action as it comes to the clemency package that Grandma has helped put together for women and girls and men in North Carolina. So we want to thank the National Council for coming this weekend. Hello. And they showed up and showed out in force. And it was wonderful and beautiful. And I want to say thank you to everyone, because they came from all over the country. They came from Boston, they came from Florida, they came from New York, they came from Connecticut, they came from different parts of North Carolina, Rocky Mount, Knightdale, Siler City.
Did you say Florida?
Florida, yes.
I came from the phone.
Florida.
My shout out.
Bull City. And so yes. So when you think about women being incarcerated, women a lot of times don't have the same support that men do when they get incarcerated. When a man gets incarcerated, for the most part, that woman's going to hold him down. She's going to make sure he has visits. She's going to make sure he has letters. And she's going to make sure that he's able to see his kids and things like that. Women don't have that luxury. When women get incarcerated, that man is gone. On to the next one. You know, and the kids, might be with an auntie or grandma, or sometimes they might even go to the state, and that mother can't see her kids. So that's why it's very important that we free them all, but that we free women and girls, because a lot of the young girls are getting life sentences for something that was really done by a man. And so we need to make sure that they come home, and we need to make sure they have something to come home to. So we have to embrace them and make sure that they have everything that they need, so they don't have to return to what they know, because muscle memory is real. And you do what you know to do when your back is up against the wall.
Somebody said, Bull City in the house. That's right.
Yep. And so that's why we want to fight so hard to free the women and girls, because we know that they don't get the support. And if you think about it, when have you seen anything like the National Council for Incarcerated, formerly incarcerated women and girls? Never. Right?
Ever.
Right. So this is the babies of a lot of women who sat on those bunks in Danbury.
Yeah.
Danbury,
Connecticut.
And
the federal prison. A lot of our sisters spent a lot of time on it. They had a dream of doing something different. That they knew best what they needed, and what they didn't need was incarceration. These were mothers, these were wives, these were sisters, these were people who were suffering economic issues. And our society addressed the economic issues and the social issues and political issues with incarceration. And that's why I tell y'all all the time, we cannot continue to address social, political, economic issues with incarceration. People deserve to have their needs met, their basic needs met. So when I tell you that housing is a right, you have a right to be housed, period. You have a right to have food, period. You have a right to have clothing, period. And when those things happen, guess what? We won't have to worry about the motherfucking police, a jail, or nothing else. Because people don't have what they need. When people have what they need, they ain't out here fucking with you. Yeah. When I didn't have what I needed, I wasn't out here fucking with nobody. And even if I was smoking crack, as long as I had what I needed, I wasn't out here fucking with them stores. I wasn't out here boosting. I wasn't out here doing, you know what I'm saying? And so you got to think about what do people need. It's not what we think they need, it's what they think they need. And we have to make that available. That's what community is about. And that's why we're out here showing radical love.
Who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe. And we're gonna show radical love, and we're gonna show y'all what I'm trying to say. We show radical love, and radical solidarity for our brothers and sisters behind the wall. So that's why we're gonna be out here talking shit to these wardens, to these governors, and to anybody motherfucking else that's got nothing to do with holding our people hostage and captive, especially in the midst of a pandemic. But we ain't even talking about the pandemic of coronavirus. We're talking about the acknowledged pandemic that we have been simultaneously fighting for a long time, which is white supremacy and racism and the racial and social injustice. We know that Black people and poor people and brown people are disproportionately affected by any of the laws that are enacted in this state. And because of the inequities, we have seen a huge swelling of poor Black and brown people incarcerated. When we looked at the numbers from Mecklenburg County yesterday, which again has about 6 cases as of Wednesday, coronavirus. 1,400 people in that jail. 71% of them are Black, y'all. 71% of the people are Black, even though Charlotte is only 35% Black. So in the jail population, they're doubly represented.
Yeah, you can tell.
He go to prison, y'all. Was that way?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Correction Enterprise. Oh, this is where they make the license plate. So y'all remember we came here and going that way.
Yeah, just straight. Well, yeah, straight.
Yeah, no, not that one.
Yeah, we can take a right at the light and then go through the front.
The pandemic. Come on, comedian Prince Paul. Yeah, it is a pandemic. They plan this pandemic, child. You're right. I like that word. He said the pandemic. Give us language. Okay, so right now we just had Correction Enterprises a minute ago. I explained this to y'all before what Correction Enterprises is, where lots of the items up as well. That was right there with the license plate place, where license plates are made. But Correction Enterprises is the business that is owned by the state of North Carolina that actually makes so many things. For the state.
Yep. Take a right here.
All right. So here we are.
And I would not start anything until you sort of turn around and are headed out. Like take a right here. Yeah, and then the parking lot's up there.
You don't want me to go there. Yeah, make it right here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You have deniability. You're the driver, okay? You only go where we ask you to go. No, I'm just saying. You're only going where we ask you to go.
Right now,
Yeah.
we at Wake Correctional.
I would just go up here and then turn around and then sort of create a line and then do the. Well, what do y'all think? The prison's right there.
We see, but we got to get in position to be on the way out.
Exactly.
We can't stop on the flight. attract the business.
Yeah, so I would oh good. So you can take it and turn around. Oh, yeah, this is perfect. Yeah, I'd say turn it all the way around.
Morning, Shay. Thanks for joining.
Mass transfer. All right, I would stop here, Lane.
They got some damn new bands.
Lane, stop here. Ready to? Okay.
Do we got everybody?
All ready?
Look, she ready. She ready. Look,
She
she
called.
ready. She calling already.
All right, let's do it. Beep. Keep on. Keep it.
And drive out.
Yeah, y'all hear them beat? Yeah, free them all! Free them all! Look, oh, did they go back there, Daniel? You see them? They was waving.
Yep.
The brothers was out. There was some brothers out, y'all.
All
We
right.
love you. We see you.
Next stop.
Next stop is to the women's.
So y'all are about to go to NCCIW?
Yes.
All right. So if you're just joining, you can meet Caravan at NCCIW in like 10 minutes.
Run through the goddamn gate.
That was awesome, you guys.
Good. That gives me an idea. What would they do if somebody ran through the campaign? Nothing but call the fucking police. Shooting at them.
They probably would
They
shoot.
didn't have no damn. They didn't have no damn star tower. So every city, every town, burn the prisons to the ground. You're right, Shaka. That's how we feel. We gotta let people out first before we start burning to the ground.
Right, 'cause they ain't gonna let them out.
They ain't gonna let them out.
Exactly.
We don't see them. They ain't never gonna let them out. So I know we're going to
Oh no, yeah, it's just one time. We're not trying to do anything. I mean, we're just
Where we
making a
going now?
the
demonstration.
women's group.
Which way? Oh, you gotta get that on.
We're going to women now. Good morning, y'all. So if you're not doing, we're on the Caravan of Love. We're on the Caravan for Love. We are going to prisons near the Raleigh area. So we've been standing individual. What day is this today, Dan?
32. 32 or 33? No, 31 was.
We started on November 4th. I don't know.
Yeah. It's either 31 or 32.
We'll be out there January 1st. We whatever day we get now. We're tired of here. We don't know the 30 minutes. We know that the governor has not made any response to our visuals. We have not heard anything. And that's okay because, well, it's really not okay, but it's okay because we know we're going to have to do something with it. Because we're not going to stop. We're going to stay on this. He's going to be in office for 4 more years. And what we need to see is a radical show of leadership. He is a lame duck, which means that he can do pretty what he wants to and set the foundation for a progressive future for North Carolina. He can do that today. And that's the best thing he can do for Josh Stein. Make Josh Stein feel comfortable in being a progressive, a real progressive person who says to his staff, listen, don't defend the indefensible. Because to defend, what did I tell you? She said, the attorney Miss Bennett
Said
said,
that they were like they were already agreed, so
pretty
they
much,
were getting the virus because of the transfers.
yes, that people were getting the virus because of the transfer, the coronavirus because of the transfer. Well, why the hell is the transfer people?
Right.
If you telling us we can't, if we travel outside of our family pod to quarantine, and you can't tell us it's crazy.
Then you looking at the door like they can fly open.
My man.
It's just
My lap. Okay, now let me put it out right quick, y'all. Because I'm eating, so I took it out. And I want you to know that we take coronavirus very seriously in our family.
Yep.
We take coronavirus very seriously when we are out there. Because we know that out. The response has been minimal. Now, Governor Cooper has done a good job of trying to walk the tightrope of not pissing off us and not pissing off the other people. Yeah, I ain't gonna say he's done a bad job. He's in a tight spot with them fucking reopen. You know what I'm saying? And then nasty. But what I will say,
It's like a death cult. It's a death cult.
it's a death cult.
They literally got in front of the governor's mansion last week and prayed that God would intervene, and then ordered, said, if you believe that God wraps you in his love, then take off your mask right now. So like 90% of the crowd already had their mask off, but the other 10%, about half of them were pressured into taking off their mask in real time by the Reopen NC people. It is nothing short of a death cult.
People is crazy. People is crazy. And not crazy like not to be ableist or anything like that. I don't mean like mentally ill crazy. Like they just drunk the Kool-Aid of white. They drunk the Kool-Aid of white supremacy, just to be honest. And so we just have to pray for them people there. I don't even say pray for them. I don't even know what you do for them. I mean, I do. You cuss their ass out like I do when you see them, and you don't give them no mercy. And you do like more to combat, and you. That's what I do. Like a zombie. You gotta cut their motherfucking head out. You know what I'm saying? Because they can't come back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, don't put God to the test, Rayshawn. Told the people, take off your mask. If you believe God is gonna wrap you in their love. Now this is the kind of crazy shit Daniel was over there in the goddamn turkey mask over there hearing, because I was too busy. Me and Muffin over there too busy goddamn cussing their ass out. We ain't heard nothing that people said. We ain't heard nothing that people said. So you need people on both sides, y'all. When I tell you, you need people on both sides. You need people that can flow in and out, because Daniel went over there and was able to hear exactly what they were saying. We couldn't, because we were arguing with their ass.
What is this?
The police shut that down.
Can we, do you mind, how far are we away from Ladies Prison?
It's the root of white supremacy. So the root of violence, whether it's state-sanctioned violence or violence within our homes, all of that is state-sanctioned violence. Because the state is the one who enacts the most violence. Muffin, man, I love when this duo is together. Yeah, Muffin, yeah, what you shit? You got to have Muffin. Yeah, as soon as they got Stoney and Muffin, they fucked Muffin up. I still got that video of Sean where the police fucked Muffin up for no damn reason. Because those guns were bigger than theirs. Muffin don't like when your shit bigger than theirs, man. I swear, they think they own motherfucker that can get some shit. You know what I'm saying? They make one gun, they made two. They tell me. Hello.
And people have their hobbies, they have what brings them joy. And me having guns brings me joy. It's a stress reliever.
She be singing that song.
It's a stress reliever to pull that trigger and see it go 150 yards down range. Actually get a target.
We're having some connectivity issues. Could y'all maybe sign off and rejoin? All right, we're back.
Again. No, we don't go to the neighborhood. We usually just drive by that little road. We can. Yeah, you need, because sometimes every time we come, maybe 6 minutes. There they go, sitting up in here like they usually do. Actually,
Yeah.
that's how they do. Us over here.
All right, we're almost.
You don't want to get blocked. It says, I mean, yeah, I would say.
Wait a minute. There's a car. Make sure there's no car behind you, man. I'm looking now. Barbara went pulled up. That's what I'm like.
We at the North Carolina Correctional Institute for Women Inmate Receiving. You can go on up the street though and go on around it.
Yeah.
So you go there on around it. And see, we stopped down here at this gate.
And look at this. Can we get this sign? Look at this. This is insane.
COVID-19
The heroes work here. that is the most disrespectful, because they're putting employees at risk too. Like,
Right.
they, you know,
Thank you, COVID warriors. We are
Yeah, show the
NCDPS.
outside. Yeah, well done.
give me a break.
You want to go out there and take a picture? Oh, sorry.
I would say, okay. I would,
Yeah, that's great. Show what you're passing by.
Right
Right, Bradley, starting.
here. Okay, so I gotta get this off there. What's
Let them know. So, incarcerated woman, Lena's an attorney here in Raleigh.
Turn off the car? Free her. Go ahead. Free her. We got a whole RV with us.
We got a caravan of the National Council members. They're going to hear us this morning, y'all. This is what we call our rolling protest. Something we've been doing at these prisons since the beginning of the pandemic. We started in April in Charlotte, March in Charlotte.
Doing it in the plane. They ain't talking.
We started in June doing it. Then we started. Here we go.
Go ahead, boy.
That's where we had the baby shower. Y'all remember when we had the baby shower and we put the balloons up for the women? It was right here. This is our morning rolling
Yeah, there you go. You got a North Carolina Correctional Institution. It's the North Carolina Correctional Institution. That's where we at. That's my sister Debbie. That's my sister Shay. We out here. We got everybody out here. And Debbie came from Florida. And so does Sharon. So we out here doing what we gotta do. Coming from all across the country. This is a total of a 53-day visual. 53 because we're on our 31st day up until the new year. So it's like a 53 or 58-day visual that we're doing in front of that's actually the people in North Carolina have been doing since November 4th.
that way.
They're sitting outside of that main governor's mansion. We came for 3 days because that's the only time we can come. But we're standing in solidarity with our sisters, with our people in North Carolina and across the country. We're coming.
Come on, tell them we coming. We coming for our people. Can I make noises? Yeah. Because they can go, you can go all the way around. They're still here because you're going to be back by correction anyway. So, again,
You go and stay over there at the minimum camp.
by the women?
Minimum camp, right over there.
Oh, yeah. They might be outside.
Well, what about doing that on our way back? Hey, what about doing that on our way back?
On the way back?
Yeah, like I think that'd be a good capstone to end with some strong energy.
Yeah, okay.
Why don't we
Go to news now?
yeah, go to Noose.
You gotta tell me I don't know where they go.
Just go to I-40.
Because you know they be watching the other hand.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going past the tank.
What they going to do?
Had a roadblock so we can't get down there.
Just go to I-40. We're going I-40 east way.
Hey, good morning, Johnny Brown. Thank you for tuning in. We are taking our protest from the governor's mansion this morning. We just left the women's prison. We left the correctional earlier, showing love, doing our rolling protest. And now we're on our way to another prison where there has been ground zero, where we've been several times to show love to the incarcerated folks. They get so excited when they see us love. They give us live.
Yes.
For a few more weeks when we go see these gentlemen throwing up their signs of love. Not hate, but
Yes.
they're showing signs of love like hearts, and black power fists, like just anything they can, a loud uproar when we come through. So we always want to show love to our incarcerated people. But the quest for clemency, y'all, it's not something that, again, I have to explain this to people. It's not something that we're asking the governor to do that is outside of his power. It is well within his power. Every governor before him has exercised that power. So this is things that we're asking him to do things that, is normal, right? But we're asking it during extraordinary times because
Hey, Lee, can you do a pump fake down here? Just honk as we go by. I would not go in there. No. Let's go on our.
So they're on their way to Noose. Meet them at Noose if you want to join the caravan.
Yeah, so we are now headed to Noose, but yeah, I guess this is not live.
We're gonna have fun down there anyway. Go to Christmas. We can actually jump out. We can jump out and be on the street, and they can't stop us.
Did you guys hear anyone?
What's that, Irene?
Did you all hear or see anyone?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You want to see a recap of what we saw at Wake and the women's prison?
Did you ask me that?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh.
I mean, I'm still recording, so maybe not now, but.
Oh, you want us to do a recap?
Oh yeah, because they
Oh.
asked like, what do we like? They couldn't tell if people were shouting back or if they heard us.
Oh, well, we see the guys in the window at Wake Correctional, so they were waving, so they heard us. The women, we didn't get out, so I couldn't really see, but they were in the window.
And we were and
right there.
people are going wild there, so like
Yeah.
the noise is louder there.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Irene, how many people do we have on Zoom watching?
No one else right now. Shay Smith was on, but she keeps going off.
Okay.
You know.
As long as you have a steady stream, I just want to make sure. I mean, we also have Christie's live, so
Yeah, it's pretty.
trying to have two separate streams, but just want to make sure that it's worthwhile.
Yeah, it's going pretty well. You just have to like put the phone pretty close to your mouth, especially with the mask on.
And that's the thing. I mean, I'll try to, but it is really like, it's gorilla.
You can't be close to each other. Yeah,
And it's really loud in here.
yeah, I can tell.
I got best travel route. You said
Yeah, okay, good. I'll keep
It's a
it.
nice RV. Nice and
I'll
rare.
keep it. All right.
and I got best travel route. Which is really.
So that's good.
I mean, I get it, but I'm just. You got the people's vote and you got the critics vote. Right. I got the critics vote. You got the people. No. But what people voted, like, because I've only saw him out there twice. No. I'm saying, like, I think when you think about what activists did, not just as protests. Oh, not okay. Policy change. Right. Okay. He did a lot. No. I thought they were talking about as protest. Oh, no. Shop got protest leader. Oh, okay. Yeah, Cass Otley got best, I would say community organizer. And then Ray Sean McKinnon. Ray got, he did a beautiful speech. And he got a good speech award. And then they listed my name and like Cousin the Proud Boys and I'm always telling somebody out. And it is really good. But I tell people why. Because when we was little, we grew up in the neighborhood. And our dad was like, people say stuff to us, like, right? And it was cool, people say stuff what they got to say. And we just had to learn that you got to say what you got to say back. And so we learned how to talk big shit. Like, you talk shit to me, I'm going to talk shit to you. And so I learned at a very young age just to talk shit. So that's just a skill that's developed over 40 years. It's not nothing new. But my brother told my picture the other day, my baby sis been talking shit since 79. And that's literally like, I'm not too quick to swing on you. But I don't really like violence. Okay, we can get it in. But I don't want to. I would rather, if we're going to talk shit and we talk shit and we good with talking shit, I would do it. Generally people get mad for that. I would take your toenail off. Especially if I tell you, that makes somebody want to take my whole head out. I want to get you hot. I want to strike fast and early, so you can set the tone for like what this shit talking.
Yeah, it's a verbal punch in the nose immediately. And that thing is and the people who you're eviscerating verbally these days, like they think that they're like, level 10 Mario villains. They're like level 1. This is you've been in much more serious, consequential situations. You had to get your way out of it.
My 7 word that you know me by. Y'all ain't ready for my black ass.
Because that's they say I say that so much. I didn't even know I was saying it too damn much. But because see, I know what it is, especially with a lot of white people. They've been in positions of power for so long. And they've not had people of color or black people or poor people who were empowered enough to say exactly how they felt, believed. And you know what I'm saying? And so they just used to people sugarcoat shit. And I'm just not gonna sugarcoat it for you because you won't sugarcoat it with me. And they gave me that time, was that sugarcoated? When they shackled me, when I was pregnant, I received no prenatal care, was that sugarcoated? Was it sugarcoated to be have to take a plea for something I really fucking didn't do? That's not no. So I was sugarcoat shit with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing it. And you know, like I said, Spencer Merriweather, we put you on notice too because you got folks sitting in that damn jail and you could be dismissing charges. If you talk about you not prosecuting simple possession and shit like that, then let the people out. That's already fucked up and shit. And why is about anybody? There's 71 people being held on a misdemeanor free trial in Mecklenburg County. And there's 753 people being held free trial on felonies. If them people, I mean, come on, man. Let them people go or dismiss the charges. I mean, you cannot hold people free trial simply because they're poor. Simply because they're poor without findings. You have to have findings of their ability to pay, findings of their dangerousness or risk to themselves and society or risk to tamper with evidence. Y'all don't have no findings on record. You don't have no findings. So if you don't have no findings, you are unconstitutionally and unlawfully holding people. And you can try to switch that up and mix words as much as you want to, but we all know what 15A 534 says, period. We also know what the modifiers on it says. But what it does not say is that you can hold people because they're poor, because they're black, because you think they are dangerous. If you have not made any findings as to that dangerousness. And you cannot hold people because they simply because they are poor. The Eighth Amendment says the Eighth Amendment says that it's the 8th and 14th. Which one say a bail a cruel and unusual punishment?
Oh, cruel and unusual is 8. But 14th is usually where most of those rights are
Okay,
based.
I know we have 8th and 14th Amendment claims in lots of our prison stuff. I can't, but I get confused, you know, because I ain't no damn attorney. You know, my nerves, if you damn attorney, don't matter if you're attorney or what, they supposed to say how you doing, they supposed to. There ain't no shade on your attorneys, it's not. It's just the truth that they have a lot of privilege, and a lot of knowledge, and a lot of things that they could do that they don't do. They could empower the community to do a lot of things, right? It's like your power was well because they get a lot of prestige and the stage between them and letters behind their name, that ESQ, Esquire behind their name. There's a lot of, and they don't want to divest from the prestigiousness of what an attorney and a lawyer is and share that power with the collective.
They like those credentials, you know?
They like those credentials, right? But they're not doing the job that those credentials carry.
Yep.
Because in Durham County and the PD's office already know, because I done put them on notice several times, it's 334 people currently incarcerated in the Durham County Jail on free charges. And you have over half of those folks who bonds are 5,000, 10,000 to 5,000, and you have about 20 to 25 who bonds like 2,000 to 500. And these public defenders asking for bond reductions or having those bonds unsecured, and you've got people sitting in jail for 198 days on misdemeanors that wouldn't even carry a sentence for that long, and they can't get out because they can't afford the ransom that's being charged for their freedom.
If you want to start a bail fund, don't start it and then have stipulations of who can get out. If you're not willing to bail out anybody, no matter what they've done, if you can afford to bail, then don't start the bail fund. You're doing more harm than good. And that's just my best advice. If you're gonna start it, fine. We don't care. Start one.
Christy, can you say that again?
Be bailed out, then don't do it because I don't give a damn what they did. If I can bail them out, I got the money. I'm gonna bail their ass out. I'm gonna bail. And I don't give a damn about getting the money back because it's donated money. Hell.
Christy, can you say that again about starting a bail fund?
To bail funds to bail people out. So they're not saying, I want my money back. So they're not doing it they're investing in people's freedom. They're not doing investments to get money back, to get funds back. And so if you're gonna say, oh, this person can't be bailed out because they have a domestic violence charge or whatever, that's not your place. The judge gave them a your place is that bond, because can't afford to pay the bond, cannot afford to pay. You are not judges on free. They all should be free until they have been convicted of a crime. A lot of times cases are dismissed. People sit for so long, they take plea deals because they're not ready to go. That happened to me. So how or why should someone sit for 198 days on a misdemeanor charge that might only carry a 30-day sentence in the first place?
Why should they sit? Period. Free trial.
Right.
You gonna people come back to court? What jail got to do with somebody come back to court? I've never figured that out.
And then sometimes you
What
damn
the jail
near
got
take
to do
you
with
to
that? What jail got to do with that?
And you don't even take you to court.
Yeah, like you want.
They don't even take you to court. You sit in jail for months and never see the inside of the courtroom. So it ain't about you coming to court, but you still never go to court unless the judge or your attorney requests that you be brought over to court. If they don't make that request, you don't go to court. You got people sitting in Durham County Jail 7 months, 8 months, 9 months, and who've never been to court not one time.
And that's what the progressive is.
Yep.
So do you see the failures? When we talk about the system and stuff, that you can be progressive. You can be whatever you need to be. Danny Stevens is good. Sometimes the Berry is good. They're good DAs. And when I say good, now let me tell you what I mean by that. They still got custody people, y'all. They should have beat, right? Like that's the nature of the system. So they do what they can. We know they do what they can. They doing what other people refuse to do across this state. There's 100 counties in this state. And Durham's DA's office is the most progressive in this country. So guess what? Even they still have people sitting inside of Durham County Jail in the midst of a pandemic. You see what I'm saying? That's why the system has to be abolished, because no individual actor using their power granted to them by the people or by the state is going to be able to dismantle it. That's why we're asking for a multifaceted approach, except for Roy Cooper. Roy Cooper can single-handedly clear the prisons in North Carolina. He can single-handedly clear the prisons in North Carolina. He can do that. He can do that today. He can do that today. He has refused to do anything up until now. I think what we think, Daniel, I would say he's probably waiting on the racial equity task force, right? To make some recommendations. Which, okay, fine.
Yeah.
But why we always gotta have a task force to recommend us to do the right thing?
Well, so he's
I don't have no task force, gang.
No.
When I had to get clean, when I had to stop recidivism, it wasn't no motherfucking task force unless you call a probation officer task force.
well, task force lets you get the thing about task force is it's a good political instrument because it lets you get credit for the ideas rather than the implementation and change.
Right.
And so that's the downside of the task force is, my response to, people say, oh, why don't you believe in the TREC, the racial, the task force on racial equity in criminal justice. And I think most people are concerned about it for two reasons. One, when you look at implementation and you look at the past task force that have been created and chaired by Roy Cooper as Attorney General and then as governor. I'm talking about the Street Safe Task Force that was all about reentry, about racial equity. The governor or the Attorney General Cooper chaired. I'm talking about the State Reentry Council Collaborative and made recommendations for how.
Let me tell you, they wasted out 2 years. How much of our time, Mom? 2 years. How long we been coming up? It's been since
2 years.
2017.
Yeah.
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
See, so long, 3 years,
Yeah.
and we still ain't.
We can't even get them to change. Y'all, let's see what we think the DPS to agree to. We had a communications team, right? We just said, okay, one of the most basic things that DPS can do to show that they are invested in the way of humanizing people. They say they care about people, right? So we said, okay, one of the recommendations was to change the language on the website, to stop referring to people as inmates and offenders, and to say people who are incarcerated and use humanizing language. People first language. We all agree in every other aspect of life, whether it is the medical profession, counseling, teaching, people first language in any other setting is appropriate. And we said, okay, we need people first language. It's been 3 years, y'all. Do you know the lies they told? The lie that they told was that the website developer and designer said it was going to take a whole lot of work. Now, y'all, we know that not to be true because all you got to do is push find and replace on any website.
It'll tell you how many times the pages occur, how many times they work. There are coders, there are people who can get that shit done. And if the state can't get it done, you put inmate in there, but you telling me you can't take it out, so how'd you get it in? If the person knew how to put the word in there and it's up on the website, you mean to tell me that that same person or somebody else don't know how to do a similar job of just replacing a word?
But what do you say to people who say it's just a word? What does it matter?
Language matters.
Language
matters.
What you do
Language
matters.
Yes, how you because how you what you call someone, it can dictate and determine how you treat someone. It speaks to how you see them, right? And if I ask you as a human being to say, can you please refer to me as, then respect is you do that, right? That's respect. That's decency. That's human decency. That's humanizing. But when you're invested in having power and control over someone, then you will call them out of their names. I keep telling people, I'm getting ready to do a graphic, and Gaza Laughing House is gonna help me do this graphic. Well, we're gonna compare and contrast. Many years I worked in the domestic violence field, and we had a power and control wheel that listed lots of abusive behaviors. And I want to do a Venn diagram or something to show the similarities between an abusive boyfriend or girlfriend and the abuse at the state of the state. Because the gaslighting, obfuscation, minimization, denial, blaming, all of those are behaviors that abusive partners exhibit. And the state does that to us every single day. They have told us that we are a poor state, when in actuality, they have been financially abusing us for years. They have been using the upper hand of holding the purse strings, so just like an abusive husband who takes all the credit cards and takes all the debit cards and cleans out their account to punish his wife. That is exactly what the state of North Carolina has done to us. And they have done it to all of us, not just Black and poor people. They've done it to every single North Carolinian. They have defunded our schools, defunded our healthcare system, our mental health system. Every system has been defunded except for the prison system, which continues to grow, continues to make money, and continues to keep this state rich. And that is why they refuse to let our people go. And that is the God-heaven truth. And I'm here to say to Roy Cooper, we're going to ride your ass for 4 motherfucking years if we have to, because you're going to let our people go. And if you don't let our people go, Josh Stein going to let our people go. And if Josh Stein don't let our people go, whoever come after him going to let our people go. But we will not stop until we get what we want, because you don't get what you wanted. You've extracted the wealth. You've created a gap so great that it would take how many years? 1,000 years for Black people to get what we need to do. You've created that. You sustained it and you maintained it. And if you didn't create it, your forefathers and your ancestors did. And you have definitely benefited. And you have used the last 34 years of your power to continue to build generational wealth. I bet your kids is straight. I bet you your kids is good. And you've built your children's education and lives off the backs of Black, brown, and poor North Carolina. And it is time to pony up. We are tired of you holding us hostage. And it ain't Phil Berger. It ain't Tim Moore. It's you. It is you.
Can I go back to the dehumanizing language and emphasize this? You know, there was a huge decision yesterday in the hearing that we celebrate. Obviously, we achieves the promise that it has of having a special monitor appointed. But as Assistant Attorney General was defending the state's incompetency, their callousness, and defending the indefensible, exactly, and explaining why basically their bottom line argument. And again, this is Josh Stein's.
So we're talking about the the ACLU and other organizations, for justice, disability rights, prison leaders, all of these groups sued DPS because of the conditions of incarceration amidst COVID, people not being able to social distance and things like that. And so the judge has made some orders and some requirements that DPS has just really drugged their feet on since March. They have placed affidavits. The judge asked for affidavits about like what's happening in each prison, and they sent in like the same affidavit for each prison. Like it had the same exact information. The judge was like, wait a minute, I asked for individual assessments and y'all sent me the same thing. Now, rather than dog them out, the judge tried to be okay, right? And
deferential.
Right, yeah. He tried to be like, okay, well, I'm just going to assume that y'all made a mistake and give y'all chances to do it. And he's given them chances and chances and chances for months. And finally, yesterday, he just had to say what, Daniel?
He had to say that a bad situation has gotten worse, and effectively, DPS cannot be trusted to protect people in prison from COVID. And so from both sort of long-term exposure and death. And so they have,
hold on.
go ahead.
In other words, DPS has been negligent in how they have dealt with the COVID crisis. Because if they were not negligent, they would not need a special master to ensure that they did what they said they were doing.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And if Roy Cooper went to DPS and said, I want you to prioritize the safety of every person whose custody has been stripped of them. Exactly. And we would not see the exposure that we see. But we know that, huge sacrifices from North Carolinians to prison are 30,000 exact that are there because of many times laws and sentences that have extended people's stays in prison that Roy Cooper either introduced or supported. And so there's a culpability here. There's a response. This is not about him being the savior who comes in and when you ask, like, how does a judge find that the two most progressive Democrats in North Carolina, I also say Democrats, progressive leaders in North Carolina, Josh Stein, DPS and Cooper, had an unusual punishment, and Josh Stein's office defends that by saying their bottom line argument was, this is going to happen. This is inevitable. And so, because people are in cages. And so we constantly see mass incarceration justifying dehumanization. And so that's why we have to identify, Josh Stein, Roy Cooper, they are not heroes here. They are culpable. Well, that's saying if you just superficially look at this stuff, assume that they are righteous.
On both that we were in such a bad shape financially, they fund everything. They hoodwinked us into believing that we were poor. The possession was Obama economics and but they silently amassed $4.4 billion in unaccounted for money. I mean, it's accounted for, but unallocated money, right? But we also got the Democrats who've been pissing on our.
The audio is kind of going out. Would you mind repeating that?
By calling themselves progressive, but when really challenged to do the right thing, give me a word, Dave.
Incompetent?
Yeah.
Hypocritical?
Let me see about the people, y'all. I'm gonna tell you something. Y'all know I went to school? I'm glad I went to school when I went to school before. I went for human services, right? And what I learned was one of the great, well, still white, right? Like a white psychologist thinker, right? His name was Carl Rogers. And Carl Rogers said that we had to have unconditional positive regard for people if we wanted people to show up and to really invest in their healing, right? And that stood out for me because I remember being treated with no regard by system and state actors, treated like as a victim of crime that I had done something wrong, right? As a victim of severe crime, like a severe violence at the hands of my boyfriend, and I was always treated like I was doing something wrong for getting my ass beat, but I'm literally just trying to survive the violence of my poverty and the violence of his hands, his feet, his gun, his knife, his whatever he had, right? And so, like, when I think of the lack of regard that was happening, that is why I have nothing but positive regard for most people. Now, the white supremacists, I cut their ass out. But if they was having a heart attack, I promise you, I probably would run over there and be like, oh my God.
Well, we know you would, because that's what happened with the police that day.
What happened to you?
Yeah, I got fucked up.
Yeah,
So Tracy saw the officer fall.
And I
And
thought
she
they
said,
were having a heart
she
attack.
said, the officer fell, we gotta help him. I said,
Hell
leave
no.
him.
No, she did. But I said, we're just like him if we do that. Because humanity speaks to humanity. His humanity was calling out. He was an officer in that moment, but he was an officer in distress. And when I saw him pulling, and I knew he couldn't breathe, and he was fat too, y'all. And he had He have been walking and marching on, has fallen on the ground. He's a man at this point, right? He's a holy dude. They beat fucking her daughter like a white mouth motherfucking mule, screaming, howling like a banshee, and they let my people go. Because it won't go in. I promise you, I was like, oh no, this is not good. Kevin Tully was walking like Kevin Tully. I was getting ready to call for a whole motherfucking parade of people to come downtown. We could shut the jail down. Fuck this shit. They was. We was just all going to jail. I couldn't go right then because I was trying to figure out what the plan was. I couldn't go right then. I had to be like, okay, what's the plan? And then we could go to all go to jail. So yeah, but they let motherfuckers go. So that's the type of bullshit that black and brown people have to put up with. And that's the type of harm that these system actors need to begin addressing. Because systemic racism and systemic oppression is so much deeper than just people being incarcerated. It's the lack of care for people who are in your control. You have a duty when people are under your care to care for them in appropriate ways. And they're not doing that. And it shows the lack of their humanity. And they try to say that we vow because we cuss or because we call them out. No, be mad because the shit is true, not because I said it. Okay? Be mad if that is the case, Roy and Josh. Be mad if that's the case. Don't be mad because I'm telling people that's the case. Because that's gaslight. And that's what an abusive boyfriend does.
Right.
That's how y'all treat us. Like we some kind of woman that's been done y'all wrong. Why do you treat the people like that? We ain't done y'all dirty. And even if we did do harm in the community, so did your colonial ancestors. What have you done to address that harm? And maybe if you started addressing that harm, the harm that we see today could be mitigated. But you're not willing to do that. You want to do a task force. Now what the hell a task force going to do to address 450 years of inequality?
And then when you do these task force, you have one directly impacted person who has been through the system and not they're the only voice in the room. And I say that myself because I'm the only impacted person that sits on the implementation team for the SRCC. But I see it in my brother Kerwin as being the only directly impacted person sitting on the Government Task Force for Racial Equity, having to fight people who are systematically racist and don't even realize it. Okay. And put one fight out over here, you have someone else saying something else, and you get more out, and you be like, you know what, fuck it. Because I know I said in a room full of people that when you think that they stop saying inmate, no, they continue to say it. So if I tell you when you say inmate, I hear nigger, and you still say inmate, then you calling me a nigger. And the next thing happens if you call me a nigger, my hand goes across your face. So just remove myself from the whole situation and try to work on something else because folks are not going to change. So do a task force, but why not on that task force? Why not have everybody directly impacted? And let us show you how to really get it done.
They don't want to really get it done.
Right, let's show you how to really get it done because we know how to get it done. We know what we need. We know what we want. People who have no clue of what it's like to get your ass beat, or who don't know what it's like to go to bed hungry,
or spend the night in jail.
Or spend the night in jail. When you don't know those things, you can't educate me on anything because your book smarts will never trump my lived experience. Here, never.
I learned nothing in that damn master's program that I didn't already know when I fucking got in there. I just gotta have shared language around it. Right? I was able to name what I had experienced. I already knew everything they taught me because I had survived everything that they were talking about. They talked about the $1 million, hell, I'm here. When they talked about drug addiction, hell, I'm here. When they talked about incarceration, bitch, I'm out. You know, they what that shit, but not really. I was still on the ankle probation this shit. And I was still on probation going to school, right? I was incarcerated going to school. And what I'll tell you this, is that the system was so set up to not win. I know the only reason I won. I know it's because of my mom, my dad, my brothers, my mom's brothers and sisters. I had a strong family that did not throw me away. If it was not for my mother, my father, my brothers, my aunts and uncles and cousins, I would have never have made it. They were the foundation that I needed rides. I had so many appointments. I had DSS appointments because the twins were going positive with cocaine. I had every day I had to go to a program called Structured Day from 8 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon. And then I had to go through the van would come to my house every night, almost every night, the probation officer would come by. I was on intense probation. They would come by and make sure I was home. I mean, I had to pee in a cup all the time. I had doctor's appointments because the twins was little. And then I had my son, so I had doctor's appointments. Doctor's appointment for me, dental appointments. I mean, it was so much stuff. And that one wrong move, I would have been right back and would have lost everything that I had worked for months to build.
Same thing, the child welfare system. You know?
Oh my God. Let me tell you something. These motherfuckers will take your kids, y'all, and pay somebody to keep your kids rather than give you the money that you need to take care of your fucking kids. Right. That's the craziest thing to me. I was always penalized for being poor because when the DSS worker, when the police came to my house and they arrested me for domestic violence, even though I was the victim, they also called DSS and had a DSS case. So DSS now is all up in my shit. And I'm telling the lady, I can't put him out. She's like, you gotta get a 50B. I can't get a 50B because he's gonna kill me if I get a 50B. She was like, oh, if you don't get the 50B, then you're not cooperating. Lady, I just told you the man gonna kill me. And you insisting that I get a 50B, like he's gonna kill me if I get this 50B, because you know what he told me? You put the white folks in our business. You put the white folks, and you know what he knew? It wasn't about arrest for him. It was about the potentiality to die at the hands of the police. He also very well knew the dangerousness of policing at that time. He very well knew that he could lose his job, all the consequences that would happen, right? And so, like, for me, I didn't have money enough to live just me. So that's why he was there, because he helped pay the bills. And so, like, if you're not going to help me pay my bills, but you simultaneously telling me I got to put my boyfriend out, the person who pays the bills, the other half, like, get the fuck out of here. That's an impossible situation. And then you tell me, oh, you can go live in a shelter. Why would I go live in a shelter when I got my own house? Who wants to go live in a shelter that's just like a prison? Tells you when to get up, when to go to sleep, what you can eat. They watching you to call DSS on you all the motherfucking time. All of these facilities, treatment facilities, mental health facilities, are all based on the carceral facilities that already exist. And so that's why people are resistant to go to treatment, y'all. Well, you want to know why people don't want to go to rehab? Because it reminds them of jail. I ain't never been to no Malibu ass rehab with frou-frou ass food. I went to that shit that looked just like a goddamn prison. You know what I'm saying? Bunk beds and shit. Look just like a prison. I've been in a mental health facility that look just like a prison. Because I'm trying to figure out what the code is to get out of that motherfucker. They're like, oh, bitch, the code change every 15 minutes. You ain't getting out of here. You know what I'm saying? Look, I got involuntary committed by my mom, and I was trying to get there, learn the code down, because, you know, I wasn't crazy. The people walking around was, you know what I'm saying? And I felt like the people was really fucked up, and I really was. Like, people here, voices and shit. And I'm sitting here like, all I got is a drug problem. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sane, I know the date, I know what, you know what I mean? And so I'm sitting here with people who like drooling out their mouth and shit because they on medicines that's got them all fucked up and shit. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm sitting here incarcerated, medically incarcerated. And then I found out I couldn't get out until the doctor said I could get out, man. They can keep you forever. Nobody talks about that. So then I was acting a fool because, you know, I was cussing people out. Then I realized, damn, they gonna keep me in here if I keep cutting up. Yep. So then I was like, I look like I'm qualified for some shit, but I keep fucking up. So then I got real smart. I started cooperating with them. Yep. And guess what? The bitch got out. But I had to see a judge in the bottom of the hospital, y'all. Trust and believe me, on Billingsley Road, they got a judge that is that. So they got a courtroom in the hospital. Y'all, please feel me. How we have criminalized and created the carceral state everywhere around us is a car. As long as we have electronic monitoring, as long as we have devices that track folks, we have now created digital prisons. As long as there are people on probation and parole, we have prisons inside of our communities. And the carceral state affects us all. Yep. And that's why we fight, y'all. Because the carceral state is trying to take away our agency and our autonomy and our authority over our own lives.
And all they know is mass incarceration. That's the thing. Like, they are of that system. That's the crazy thing here is that Josh Stein, Rory Cooper, they've only...
Oh, that's just the correction, y'all. Yeah. We're going back to prison. But they closed, I think.
Yeah. They might be back up.
We about to get new shit out there.
I had a question for you. What was I gonna say? So what is the pattern you see there? Did you talk having to explain when you've been accused of being mentally unstable, having to explain that you're not mentally unstable, or having to, when you're accused of having been a bad parent, what it means to explain you're not a bad parent, or when you're guilty that you're not guilty, and so how we, there's this idea that there are these innocent until proven guilty, reunification is a default, and yet in practice, what have you seen, and and just emphasize that like those patterns are as evident as can be.
Those patterns, it is, no matter what system you're involved in, right? When I was in volunteer community, police came to my house and they told me that I had to go downtown. And I told them, I'm under arrest. They told me no. I said, well, I ain't going. They said, oh, yeah, you going. I said, oh, no, fuck that. You know what I mean? Like, but what? They're like, oh, you got paperwork. A warrant? No. What paperwork? And they were being like real, like, I had to pull, you know, like they wasn't going to tell me what was wrong. Like, I think they thought I was crazy, like, because they got these involuntary commitment paperwork. So they thought I was fucked up. And then they realized, like, well, she is asking the right normal questions, but then they got agitated because they felt like I was just going to be somebody they could just put the handcuffs on and, you know, take on. And I was like, hell no, like, what's going on? Like, I was lucid, like, I know what's going on. So they were like, well, we got these papers saying that you need to be involuntary committed. I started laughing. I was like, what that mean? And they were like, that you have to be evaluated by a doctor. And I was like, or, you know, like, what's the basis of the claim? And they were like, well, did you do drugs? I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, you know, that's common knowledge. I mean, you know what I mean? I'm a drug addict. I mean, I've been arrested like 25 times with mud shots. I'm sure they don't.
Yeah, why now?
Yeah, like, right. So I'm like, okay. And so they're like, ma'am, all we know is we got this order to pick you up. And so I'm like, oh, I'm not going nowhere. Well, a fight ensued. I ended up going because they got the best of me. It was two big motherfuckers too. If that is just some little cops, that would have been over. It was two big motherfuckers. So next thing you know, child, they had me down. My arm was up. And so then my boyfriend came home abusing. And he was like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? What's going on? Because he pulled up in the middle of everything. And he's like, oh, hell no, where y'all taking her? And so then they were like, step back. He was like, hell no, fuck that, where y'all taking her? He thought he was the only one that could have power control like that. My body, you know what I'm saying? So now it's an argument between who have possession of me, right? He lost. He lost. And they told him the paperwork. He stopped because he was like, so he was always like a head. And he came over, he was like, calm down that seat going completely. Keep the windows out. I'm banging my head, you know, doing all this shit. I'm pissed, like you motherfuckers, right? Because I just about stoked out. Right. Just about. You know, it was calling my name then. You know, like, and what got me was when they knocked on the door, they didn't knock on the door. I thought it was my neighbor. Otherwise, I never would have fucking opened the door.
You opened that door excited.
Yeah, I opened the door. And it was the police. And I was like, oh, and I tried to shut it, but you know, they put it down. It was like, yeah, fuck that, man. Open the damn door. Yeah, and so anyway, so my boyfriend, he come over, he talked to me, like, Chris, they got paperwork, man. They take you downtown. And I was like, well, for what? Like, he was like, I don't know. All I know is it's probably better if you just go ahead and calm down. They're going to take you. If you damage the police car, they're going to arrest you. Yeah. Stuff like that. He was like, but if you go ahead on, they're just going to take you to the hospital. He's like, you'll probably be out tonight. I was like, all right, you call down there and make sure you come down there. You know, he's like, all right, I got you. Boom, so they take me down there. And the doctor come in, he a little black psychiatrist. And he had a little bow tie. I never get. He had a little bow tie. He about 2 feet tall. And I remember laughing. He was so good. I was like, and then he tried to ask me questions like, what's my name? And who the president? And I'm like, man, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Obama. You know what I mean? No, it wasn't Obama time. It was George Bush. Because it was like 2006, 2007. So he was like, no, it was 2006. So he was like, who the president? Who the vice president? And I told him, man, I'm not crazy. Like, are you like, why are you asking me this shit? He's like, well, report here saying that you're a danger to yourself. I said, when did you smoke crack? So this country.
That doctor probably smokes so well.
Right. He started talking breathing. I didn't like that breathing. Like, I just ended up cussing out. You know, that was my go-to for everything back then. You know, now I try to wait to cuss you.
And you know, it made sense and it was perfectly eloquent and well-reasoned. But just because you were antagonistic, they labeled you as crazy, non-cooperative.
Oh, yeah, they said I was non-cooperative. So then he was like, well, you know, since you're so angry, I'm gonna give you some time to cool out. I was like, when am I going home? He was like, oh, you're gonna be here for at least 3 days. Oh, what he said? Girl, I tore up the whole room. Tore that motherfucker completely up, child. They just brought some pills in. I done knocked the pills out the people's hand. I ain't taking that shit. And then next thing you know, the boys in white. It really is a mental hospital. Boys in white. And boys in white. That's what we get. That's what we that shot. It's like do.
I heard him in that way.
I ain't never
Put you down softly.
Listen, it was like somebody just shut down on the computer. It take a little minute. It take hold on while the computer like closing all its apps out. So it was, I could feel it happening. Like I was like, yeah, cause fuck you, mother. And that's what.
They got me.
And the next morning I woke up like.
Well rested.
I was. Like, and first thing on my mind, what my glasses? Because I couldn't see. And the nurse was like, we got your glasses right here. They had me on a cot in the hallway, girl. Because they said I was so combative. They had to put me at the nurse's station. They said I was out still fighting, you know, because I was like not coherent, but that wasn't about them. And so, you know, my boyfriend every time he took me to his liquor bottle and cracked me upside the back. I remember waking up like confused and in pain and wet and trying to figure out like what the fuck. So that was early, you know, like early. So I always had this thing about like my husband, my kids, don't wake me up out my sleep, stand away from me, don't shake me, don't touch me. Like you guys like Chris, because you touch me while we fight.
Arbitrary. There are no rules that you can follow that keep you safe. It's just sometimes you just get whacked upside the head while you're sleeping.
And what they did, they whacked me upside the head that day while I was sleeping. So then I was in there for them 3 days, and I was talking shit like I ain't doing none of this shit. They had groups and shit, and these people walking around here talking about they depressed, and I want none of that shit. In my mind, I'm trying to get high. You motherfuckers just forgetting all of that. You know what I'm saying? This is delayed. And so then I figured out like. One of the people told me, because she had been coming up there a lot, she told me she was very depressed. She was an affluent white lady, pretty affluent. But she told me that they didn't have no beds at this private hospital, so she basically had to come to this hospital. But she was so depressed, and so she had been there for 6 weeks. I was like, damn, got to be fucked up to want to stay at the hill for 6 weeks. You know
6 weeks.
Hell yeah. She was like, I come here to get like a break, and she was telling me all about her life was fucked up. I'm just thinking, I just smoke crack. Like, well, my life is not fucked up, like not like that, right? And she told me, she was like, you know, you keep arguing with them, you'll be in here as long as I am. And I said, what you mean? She said, if you involuntary committed, they can keep you until. Nobody had explained that to me up until that point. I just thought
3 days.
I'm gonna be out. And then she was like, no, they evaluate you in 3 days to see if you can get out.
You go back and clean up the room?
Shit, yeah, I was a model motherfucking prison. You understand me, bitch? Eating, because they look at how much you eat. If you eat, if you cooperate, I'm in a group. Yes, right. Yeah, I don't participate. Got all my damn points for participation.
Childhood trauma.
This bitch went to sleep, you know what I'm saying, on time. They said, you want to eat after lunch? I said, yeah, let me get some. You know what I'm saying? And then the different doctor came in. It was a lady doctor. And she told me I tested positive for cocaine. I was like, yeah. And she was like, well, we're going to recommend you go to some NA meetings. I was like, okay. And she's like, but you got to go see the judge tomorrow. I said, the judge? And I'm like, and that lady told me, I'm going to get out soon. All I got to do is commit y'all. Now you're telling me I got to convince the judge. But the lady was right. I had to convince the doctor to even go see the judge. That's the process. Like, if I don't convince the doctor that I can even go see the judge, I think it was like you got to be evaluated, but then they can hold you up to 10 days without seeing the judge. Some shit it was, you know what I'm saying? But after 3, if you act like you got some sense, they'll take you to see the judge. So I act like I had good sense. I went to see the judge. The judge told me I had to be clean for 180 days. And I was like, 6 months. She said that at any time you are found to be high in those 6 months, the sheriff's authorized to pick you up at any time. So I did what any good person does. I told her, yes, ma'am, and swore my hand on that Bible. And them motherfuckers never saw me again for 18 months. I went underground, okay? I ain't talked to nobody. I stayed in the house and got high for 6 motherfucking months straight. Better ask somebody. And see, that's why the system, just like it recalibrates, so does addiction, so does poverty, so does all the traumas that people experience. And so we always talk about how the system adjusts itself, right? And it's always like adjusted and recalibrated to maintain homeostasis. So does an addict, so does a person. So the system doesn't exist in a vacuum, and neither do people. And so just like the system adjusts, I adjust it. And so what we fight against is that imbalance of power, though. That the system has the most power and wields that power in abusive, inhumane, and in ways that disappear people. The problems don't get disappeared because despite the fact that we've locked up over 30,000 North Carolinians, harm still exists in our communities. People are still being harmed every single day. So we disappear people. We don't disappear problems. And we got to stop doing that. We want the problems to disappear. We have to incorporate the people into the solution because the people literally are the solution to the problems that we see. It's not going to be the politicians that are the solution. And that's why I propose that we, the people, come up with our own budget that solely addresses the $4.4 billion that is sitting unallocated in a reserve fund. And that's what we need to focus on because that $4.4 billion could be used to do a lot of things. We don't have to have a tent city in Charlotte or any other city in this state. We don't have to have unaffordable housing. We can have livable wage jobs of minimum wage that of a living wage. I can't fully engage in society and be wholly present. And we need people to be wholly present because when people are not wholly present, that is where violence and harm lives. It lives in the margins, just like the people. It lives in the margins.
Well, the lack of investment is actually even worse than you're talking about because, you know, it's the $4.4 billion rainy day fund, but that doesn't even include the billions that have gone unspent because they didn't pass a budget. So even though we're facing a pandemic and even though it's going to be, you know, tremendous hardship and problems, for now, they actually have more money than they've ever had between the $4 billion rainy day fund and just the money in the state coffers that they've collected. They have more money to invest than ever. And so we are sure to hear about this scarcity mentality when it comes to manufactured scarcity mentality when it comes to why they can't invest in the prisons.
I got that from Leila.
From who?
Leila.
Oh. Yeah.
She the one taught me this.
Oh, awesome.
Shout out to Leila because let me tell you guys, and Dr. Felicia Ariaga because they had a call the other night and Leila gave us the report. I didn't even know the state controller puts out a monthly report of the budget. Like who knew, right, y'all? It's so many aspects of the government, so much information available. But what happens is it's overwhelming. They don't work in it deeply with us. And that has really shaped and shifted my thoughts about what do we ask for? What do we demand? We don't need to demand it. Like I said, they ain't taking police money away from police. We defund the police by not fucking with the police. We defund the police by mitigating harm in our community, by getting rid of poverty in our community. And that way the police don't defund themselves because there ain't gonna be no justification for having them. The police justify crime, y'all. They allow crime to happen so they can justify those budget spends. Why do you think Charlotte got 109 murders? They got 109 murders on purpose. On purpose. They got 109 murders because they need 109 murders to justify chemical emissions, militarized toys. They need crime to exist to justify existing. And that's why they don't try to solve the crime, y'all. They don't even try to solve shit. They allow the shit to happen. What do we see on Davis Fort Road? Davis Fort Road, one of the most police streets that should have the most cameras. But you mean to tell me there was a mass shooting with the police sitting there, don't nobody know shit? A mass shooting on Davis Fort Road, the blackest street in Charlotte, the most police street in Charlotte, and the police sitting there. And you mean to tell me that they don't know who did what? No, they needed that to happen. It's their narrative that if we let people out, then crime is going to increase. They're trying to combat the narrative about bail. They're trying to combat the narrative about incarcerated by justifying themselves as being legitimate responses to the harm that we see. And we know they're not legitimate because despite their existence and despite locking people up, harm still exists. And as to James Williams, who is one of the oldest public defenders in the state, and I don't mean to say that like shady, I mean he's older, but he's one of the black attorney law career.
Yeah.
We have too many laws in the book. We have literally in this country, but especially in North Carolina, criminalized everything.
Yep.
Everything is a crime. And just because we codify it as a crime don't make it a crime. You know what I'm saying? And just because something is legal don't mean it's right. And just because something's illegal don't mean it's wrong. We got to think about that. They said jail support was illegal and unconstitutional, and they moved jail support, even though we have been out there for over 100 days providing free aid, not charity, free community support. And shout out to all the people and all the groups supporting the jail support. And that's why we talk about it, y'all. This is why we have to say, we have to have our own agenda that addresses our needs. Regardless of anybody else, any other institution, the police, we have to have our own agenda. And we have to fight for that agenda. We have to stay laser focused on that agenda. They're going to try to throw stuff out between barriers, and we're going to jump over and move. But we got to stay laser focused on bringing our people home, no matter what they say to disconnect themselves from their power. We have to let them know that you're not going to bury our people behind a wall, and we just going to be okay with it. You can bury them behind the wall, but motherfucker, you ain't going to rest that. And I know Roy might be mad at me for calling him a motherfucker. That's the time I think, give me, Roy. I voted for you. So you my mother. And that's why I want you to do what you got to do. That's why. Because I told people to vote for you. You know why I told people to vote for you? Because I believe that you were the greatest path that we had at this time. Because Dan Forrest wasn't going to do shit. It wasn't because you were a Democrat or because I thought you were overly great. It was because I believe that you were the most valuable path to freedom for my people. That is why I voted. Only. I was a one-issue voter. Oh, God, I was. And I'm not proud of it, but it is what it is, because at the end of the day, he is the single most powerful person that can provide relief, y'all, to us. And he's not doing it. And that's why, if you live in the state and you're watching this, you should be at your governor's mansion. I don't give a damn what side they are. Republican, Democrat, Independent, Green Party, it don't matter, Libertarian. Go to their fucking mansion, their house where they live, and make them uncomfortable like my people is uncomfortable. Because I'm going to tell you something, it's getting cold. And it's cold in incarcerated facilities, y'all. I ain't never been to a incarcerated facility that wasn't cold in the winter. Okay, in the summer, in these prisons, it's extremely hot on purpose. Except for where the staff has to go. And make sure they got air conditioning where the staff lounge is, where the staff sits. You know what I mean? So it's purposeful. It's punitive on purpose. Incarcerated facilities are designed to dehumanize and disconnect and dissuade people from their own power and agency by placing you in a cage, in a pen, no bigger than a parking space. And when you tell people they can't shower but 3 times a week, you can only have a Bible, no phone calls, no mail, because they committed an infraction. Did you know it's illegal to touch someone while you're incarcerated? So people can't touch each other. That's an infraction. And you can't touch yourself. If you touch yourself, you get
Felony.
Huh?
Felony.
Felony. You can't even touch yourself. When I say touch yourself, I mean touch yourself. You can't touch anyone, and you can't even touch yourself. It's a felony.
I'm gonna have a string of felonies.
You have a string of felonies. You're gonna be in there for life. They're gonna keep adding time on. They're gonna keep that mother that she's gonna be in there.
Because if nobody know my body better than I know my body. You
can't
telling me I
touch
can't touch
yourself.
my body?
No, you cannot touch your body, but it is a felony.
But right, that's what I'm saying.
Your own body. So that's how much y'all, that's how much power and control they have over people inside of incarcerated facilities.
And then when they write it up,
So
they'll send stuff home to your family saying that you got charged with a sexual offense.
making your family think you don't have sex
Right.
with a whole new person.
That's right. They don't tell them that you were getting to know yourself.
Masturbating.
In 1.8 now, I'm gonna make it right. It says that you had a sexual encounter.
Yep.
And so why? Shouldn't matter.
You can't even touch your own body, y'all. That's how much
It should
control
not
you have
matter.
over yourself. So you think people
What
get
you say you
nasty?
raped yourself? That'd be cool. You can get out.
She said, what?
Why they don't say you raped yourself?
It still be a felony.
Right.
Either way, they give you a felony. Sue yourself. I just don't even understand. Like it's a felony game.
I mean, it shows you how profoundly they have custody of the body, and yet, we're talking about where people in prison should be prioritized with these vaccines, and it has to start with people who are institutionalized by the state. Those are people who have been stripped of their own autonomy, of their liberty, of their agency, and the state has a higher duty there to protect those individuals. And yet we see the opposite of that. We see people justifying using the mass incarceration to justify mass incarceration, using what we saw from the state attorneys yesterday when they, effectively lost this hearing and lost the faith of a judge to actually try to what they were arguing was that at the end of the day, and not once, and again, this goes back to language, the attorney kept saying offenders. And when you talk about, that there's mass transit of offenders, then it makes it easy to cover up the fact that you're talking about mass sickness and death among people. There are thousands of people in state prisons right now who have been infected, exposed, and will have lifelong consequences from COVID. And yet the state could just say, well, it's inevitable. And so, that's why we're going down here to Noosh right now. And I'm curious if y'all could talk about what y'all saw last week or.
Before we do that though, okay, so the attorney for the AG's office,
Ms. Bennett and Mr. Rodriguez.
and she said that COVID was because of transfer. Am I correct?
Yes,
Right. So when the pandemic hit and they locked everything down and they stopped visitation and they stopped all of that, no one in the DPS custody should have had COVID. They got COVID from
going to
the
work.
staff going and coming to work.
And them still going to work release.
They still have no
Yes,
work
they still had women going to state offices and cleaning them. That's how it got to NCCIW and Faye Brown got it. Because the NNO reported that they had them going to those state offices, cleaning buildings and stuff. And where state employees were working. So the women were, am I lying, Liz? Oh yeah, that's exactly what happened. And so that's exactly what happened. That's how Faye Brown died. Boy, if they were going to get out and Bear Purdue blocked her getting out twice, y'all. Because Bear Purdue the Supreme Court said, I don't believe that the way that y'all interpreting the law means that this lady.
I don't know.
Where she live?
In the eastern part. I think she's at the beach.
Good. Where she live? Bear? You
I think it's like
all the people with your ass. You didn't let our people out.
I mean, that's the thing is what you described as mediocre leadership. And that's the thing. Mediocre leaders hate to be called
Let
mediocre.
me tell you something. You better not never let me get in nobody's damn position of power. Because it won't be mediocre, baby. It won't be mediocre. You ain't not gonna worry about me. Whatever the full power of the office is, I'm executing that shit. To the full. And even I'm just some Trump ass shit. Because he done taught me a lot. But you can
About
be
power.
You can be mediocre. And you can guess what you can do. You can be mediocre and you can say, I'm gonna be mediocre and I'm gonna use this power like I ain't mediocre. And who gonna check people? Who gonna do something to you? This man has executed how many people? 3 people and got 5 more to execute. We have not killed anybody in the federal system, y'all, through the death penalty in 17 years. That means the Bushes didn't kill nobody, y'all. They killed that one guy.
Malcolm.
That one. But we're talking about in 17 years. That's all the Obama years. Huh? Black. They killed black people. They always kill black. Timothy McVeigh ass, they got rid of him.
Yeah, they got it.
Jeffrey Dahmer, they let get.
But how did they get to even go to trial?
Child, all the babies he killed.
No, right. He was able to go to trial because that privilege.
Yeah, because black people.
Because if he was black, he would have never made it.
Child,
You got black people
them
who
straight by
had
the bullet.
CDs and cigarettes in their hand and didn't make it before. There's 0.1 miles, we're gonna make a left right up here. We can't go through the back way.
Yeah, that's it right here. We can right turn right here.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay, so it is to our left now?
It says it's going to be.
Oh, okay, yes.
It says for us to turn on our right further down.
I see.
So you make a left right here and then turn on right. No, they can't make that something.
Very town, so
How close are y'all?
We're about 1 minute away.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah. Oh, maybe.
They'll play 7 miles and then they'll go right on.
You gonna open the window?
Yeah, open up the door and we can yell out. Wave out. All kinds of good stuff. That's what it's bag.
If I didn't eat every biscuit I sat on, I'd definitely.
Okay.
Oh, it sure is. I see the one coming here, but old chair right here.
It's gonna be on the right side or the left side?
Both. Oh, no.
Okay. Turn right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you gonna turn right? It's gonna be on the right.
Oh, yeah. We okay, you got it.
I'm not.
Got my hands in. Can't hold much.
All right, we got a few more people joining. Welcome. You want to introduce yourself?
So
Good morning. This is Grandma Phyllis Hardy of the National Council for Incarcerated and Formerly Incarcerated Women and Girls. I am glad to be on this Zoom video. I wish I was there in person. I am not, but that don't mean that my spirit and my heart is not there. It's always going to be there. And thank you, Irene, for having
I'm doing a lot.
a picture of me and when I
And another one facility. This is a big one.
Glad to join
It's
you.
Division of Prisons, Wayne Correctional Center. They're doing a Zoom. We have Freer!
Oh, my man got the blood.
This is the News Correctional Institution. News Data Breach. I pronounced that right? News? It should be. Yeah. And it looks like we're on a complete plantation here. This is crazy.
Yes,
And it's like it's so much land. And this is crazy. This is like nostalgic. It brings back moments of history and time just by looking at it and it just being on this land. It's creepy. I don't like it. No further, or we're gonna be able to turn around and like a
Hey, Muffin and Christy and everybody else.
Yes.
Daniel, I hear you.
Grandma said hey to Muffin and Christy.
Hey, Grandma.
Yes, I hear Daniel. I hear all of you. Thank you. I'm so happy.
Let me sit back.
You've made my day. Shay, I love you. I love everybody though.
Hey,
Zero.
Grandma.
Hey,
Love you. We miss you.
yes, I miss all of you too. You look good in your shirt.
Thank you. We excited. Hey, Grandma.
Hey, Muffin,
Love you.
are you comfortable, you two? Hey, Clemency Works, North Carolina. That's us. We have to use this hotel every time we come to North Carolina in this area, the Raleigh, because
Oh,
they
you
have
like the
really
hotel?
serviced us good.
Grandma said she likes the hotel.
Oh.
All right, y'all. So I'm about to take a break from the slides. Y'all saw we came to show love to our incarcerated brothers and sisters who are still locked up. They've missed so many Thanksgivings.
Dawn, you look
We want
beautiful.
to bring them home before
So many
Christmas, their children's birthdays, their family's birthdays. And now we just want to bring them home for Christmas, for New Year's, for Valentine's, for shit. We just want them to come home. We don't even have to be for no occasion. But we know that Governor Cooper claims to be a religious man. He goes to a church and is a man of faith. And as a man of faith, we implore people, what would Jesus do if you're a Christian? What would he do? If you're Muslim, what would Allah do? If you're Buddhist, what would Buddha do? Keep people finding humanity. What would it tell you to do things differently? Find ways to meet people where they at, so you can get them where they want it. And being okay with some people don't want to be shit, y'all. We gotta be okay with that. Some people don't want to do shit, they don't want to be shit. And we got to be okay with that. White supremacy tells us that we got to do something. People got to do nothing if they don't want to. They can do whatever it is they want to do, right? We got to be okay with that if it's not harmful to us. And then if they are harmful to us, then we address that harm. We don't have to address it with then we don't. We got to. The first step to any control. A lot of y'all want to believe when Obama says that we shouldn't be saying. Obama got a lot of damn nerve telling us what we should be saying. You know what I'm saying? He told us. Didn't he teach us about change? Didn't he tell us about yes you can? Did he say yes you can? Then what did his doggone campaign slogan?
Oh, yeah.
It was. You remember
Yes, you can.
Yes you can. So yes, you can defund the police. Is what he should have been telling us. Yes, you can have racial equality. Is what he should have been telling us. But no, he pandered. He pandered. What he pandered us up? He ain't even. He did. What else can he do in life? He can never hold another office because it ain't gonna never be what he had. So you can use all of your. That's the ultimate privilege to be a former president. But you know, black people that want to mince words got enough privilege to mince them words. Us that are in the trenches that are feeling the wrath of the police every single day don't have the ability to try to find eloquent ways to say what we mean. We have to just say what the hell we mean, which is defund and get rid of these motherfuckers. We sick of the pain they cause in our lives. Just back by news one more time to show those guys love out here. We do love them. We care about it. We miss them in our community. Some of the world's problems could be solved because some of the people who are some of the most talented, smart moment of misjudgment or bad judgment or lapse in judgment. Whatever. We allow that one moment to define people's lives. What if my entire existence was defined by my crack addiction? What would I be today? I wouldn't be where I am. My entire existence is not wrapped up into what has happened to me or what I have done. You have to take into the totality of a person. And I was always a good person making bad decisions. And now I'm a good person making better decisions. I can't even say I'm making good decisions because that's relative. I'm a good person making better decisions than what I was making before. And we're all on a journey to be making better decisions and to be a better person. Because you're out here free in this world, your world racial equality. You know, I find out that white people have a lot to deal with on a day-to-day basis. I think we need spaces of between whiteness and white folks who have been engaged in whiteness their whole lives. But that shit's a lot. Yeah. I have people ask crazy questions. Do you work here? What? Bitch, I'm shopping like you. What? You know what I'm saying? But it's like, nah. So many microaggressions happen each day. I can't tell you how many people say, oh, you angry, you aggressive. Why I'm not passionate? Why I'm not assertive? You know, why is that not the language we use? Why are you using violent language? The girl told me I was verbally abused to her, and I told her that she was violently white. Let me leave it up. Yeah, we're coming up on it again. So y'all, we get ready to be back in Deuce again. We're gonna go back to the last time.
We need you to stand where they can't stand. We need you to vote where they can't vote. We need you to speak where they can't speak. We need you to say what you need to say for them on their behalf. Well, us out here doing this, that's what we're doing. We're protesting and we're saying this is what needs to be done because they don't have the voice to do it. But damn it, we do. And we're out here and we're going to do it. So we need you. This is the jail. This is the prison. This is the plantation. This is the slave camp. This is what this is right over here, guys. I'm going to turn this around because you don't need to see my black eyes. You need to see out here. So this is what this is, right? And you just need to know that, bro, look at these. Do they have a fucking gun? Look, they're holding a gun. Don't do that. Okay, they not, because I know the other one that the other one was. You can write all that down. Hi, yeah, North Carolina, write it down. Oh, she writing down
License plates.
She writing down license plates, guys.
Right there with the fuck she want to write down.
Well, I ain't gonna say fucking, but you know, it's okay. You can sue the police.
You about to be in Facebook jail. Fuck around.
Yep, everybody's right. Oh, they look at them guys. They we're gonna roll this down.
Free her!
Free her! License plate. Wait, yup. That's what they doing. That's what they doing.
Chill out.
That's what they doing.
They want to get out of here. Okay. They ain't got no
Rainbow about the CGA and the exploitation of labor.
So we all this an intimidation tactic. We ain't scared, guys. And again, we ain't trying to disrespect nobody, but we've been disrespected for most of our lives. And it's all about just doing what we need to do. You know what I'm saying? You ain't write the license plate down. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What can you do? We ain't doing nothing on your property that's disrespectful, that's wrong, that's against the law.
Keep talking, Sheba. Andrea's gonna get on.
When people notice, when people do that, it's known. It was letting us know that they are aware that we are in the presence. We are here, and they said, "Oh, well, what the hell's going on? Oh, we coming for you. That's what's going on. We coming for you. Yeah, we coming for you. Maybe it's gonna be a blind spot. One day you're gonna pop up and be like, oh, what happened? Like, bow, bow.
Everybody out.
Booyah.
Everybody out.
Everybody. That's right. You know what I'm saying? Give me a high five, Donnie. Right? You know what I'm saying? And that's what's gonna happen. See, y'all do the little secret meetings. We have our little secret meetings too. The hell. we
Dawn, you're muted. Did you mean to do that?
We're supporting, we're in solidarity with our North Carolina sisters.
Did y'all see them at the fence?
That we are not gonna just let him not do his job. Before he leave office, he's gonna have to release some people.
Did y'all see them at the fence, y'all?
Right? So starting there. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I'm telling you, we're going back over there right now. We're gonna sit up there and do what we need to do today. The fact of the matter is, things need to happen and things are gonna change, and we're here to be.
Y'all want to go back?
Helping in North Carolina. We
We
love
gonna
you.
jump out and walk down.
We're gonna say peace out until
Yeah, we
later.
can walk down the
Um,
street. They can't
it's
stop us.
like again, guys. I'm
Yeah.
gonna say it as many times as I can. This is a movement. It's not a moment, right? It's not a moment in time. Oh, let's just have a moment in time. Damn it, we had too many moments already. It's a movement. So let's move this shit together in one accord. Peace and
Free
blessings.
her. Free her.
Free her.
Free
Free her. That's right. That's right.
Hey,
Y'all doing
Free
it
them
too.
all.
freedom
National
all.
Anthem is alive today. In the house. On the street.
Stay away.
Those are so
That's
low.
right. That's right.
That's
Andrea,
definitely
don't you want to say
right
something?
there. Look how low that shit is.
Ladies, Andrea's on. Maybe she wants to say something. I guess you don't. Maybe I woke up. I wanted her to see what all of us was doing. Spreading the word for the North Carolina clemency works now.
Yeah, she should be able to unmute herself.
Hey, Daniel.
Of the drive before we end. So we just finished our prison solidarity run. We went to the women's prison, the Wake Correctional. It ended at Noose, where 500 of 700 people have already been infected with COVID. People have died, and you know it was powerful last time when Muffin actually read the letter from somebody at Noose who had been lied to, mistreated, and was expressing sort of the common experience of having COVID in prison. We cannot sort of exaggerate how scared people are, how, when your jailer is also the person you're depending on for exceptional health, when you're not even getting basic health, that is a terrifying thing for families, for people. And so, just want to close by asking, Christy and Muffin, what did you see today? Why do you do this? And I guess I always love for you to end on talking about the decision makers who are responsible for this and the decisions. So we'll just let me give y'all the let me give y'all the space.
So why do we do this? Again,
I was just like, what did you see today?
Oh, what I see
Anything
today.
you want to say?
I mean, I see the same thing I see all the time. I think it's the pain of folks who are incarcerated that need for outside interaction that is deliberate and intentional and based in love for them. Because inside of a correctional facility, you are dehumanized so much that it can be difficult to remember that, number one, you are a person, that you do have rights, and that people actually care about you. Because it can be so difficult financially for your family to show up for you. It can be difficult for them to make to see you. And it can be it's extremely difficult for people to remain connected. And so when we come out, it's so that we could show that they are cared about, that we do remember. But again, as I've always said, this is a double-edged sword. It's not just to show radical love for the people who are inside. It's a message to the system actors that we love those people that are inside. Those are our people. And if not, and we will continue to fight for them and fight for their humanity and to remind the system actors that they do have humanity until the day we die. Because it's our life's work at this point. Like, there's nothing else I would rather do than remind people that we love them. And that's on both sides, right? The families, the people who are incarcerated, and the system actors, and the general public. That you can say whatever you want about incarcerated people, but they are still people. And they still have rights, and they still deserve. And if we don't fight for those of us who are the most marginalized, then whose rights are we fighting for? I mean, like, whose rights are we fighting for? If we're not fighting for the liberation of Black, trans people, then we're not fighting for nothing. We're not doing. And that's what we're literally fighting for. We fight for the liberation of Black people, for trans people, to exist in their current form and shape, and to exist in the ways in which they see fit. Not how we see, how they see. And that's all I got to say today.
For now.
We got to see some brothers there wasn't that many out when we first went down, but when we came back, there was a whole group of them. They heard us and they came out to see. So that was very rewarding to see that they know that we were there and they know that we were there for them because the people who work inside the prison will have them believe that it's not for them. You know what I'm saying? But they know that love and those warm songs is for them. And I do this because I know what it feels like to be in the cell, not have any visitors, not have any mail, not have any of those things, but knowing that someone's going to come once a week and blow to show you some love, that means a lot to them. And it means even more to me because I know that I'm affecting somebody in there in a positive way.
Somebody might would have made a bad decision. Might make a good decision today because he was on love.
Yep. Yep, exactly.
So, anybody watching, y'all can Google the National Council of Incarcerated Women and Girls. It costs $5 a year to be a member. And being a member is so much more than just being a member because it's actual sisterhood and it's work that's actually being done. We have Clemency Works NC in North Carolina, but each state is doing some of the same things and some other different things, but all of the things that they're doing are amazing. Jordan just stopped for gas, y'all. And so, join us, the Vigil for Freedom and Racial Justice. We are on at 298 East Jones Street and Person Street every day from 7 a.m. to around 5:30 p.m. If you have 5 minutes or you have 5 hours, you're more than welcome to come out and hang out with us and sit and talk. Today, we're going to be having a live DJ Fats, aka the Governor, will be playing music for us today from 2 to 4. Nice. So come on out and enjoy some good music. That
invitation to Rory too.
That's really nice. Oh yeah, Corey, come on through.
All right.
Oh, hell yeah, man. Come on, Trip. Come on outside. Come cut a rug, as they say. You kind of old. So cut a rug. Ain't that what they say back here? We're going to shag on the boulevard.
So I want to give a chance to do any of the other National Council members who are on want to share their perspectives. Oh, everybody's gone.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I just want to hear from everybody. I see Grandma on there.
Okay. Hello, everybody.
That's not even food. That's your regular food. That's it.
Go ahead, Grandma.
All right. Hello, everybody. I do this work because of all of our people incarcerated, stacked together like sardines, spreading the COVID-19 to everyone, all the prisons right now. A lot of the women, federal and state, are getting the COVID for the second time.
Yeah.
They would get the COVID.
Yeah, we're going back.
But they are doing it. They are doing it. We have to fight. The National Council have been fighting this system for so long, way before COVID came in, of the overcrowdedness, trying to release our people. They are our people, just like Muffin said. Just because they're incarcerated, that does not mean they do not belong to us, because they do. And we have to be their voices. We have to vote for them. We have to deal with the politicians that talk our language. And our language is freedom, freedom. This coalition, Vigil for Justice and for freedom and racial justice, is the greatest thing that I have seen in a long time. Well, besides the National Council, you know, my heart is there 100%. But Daniel, you have brought me, you, Christy, and Muffin, into an organization that's filled with love, purpose, and willing to get down and do the grassroots work that is needed to change the laws, to free our people, to get our people a fair trial, so we as people can support them on the outside, give them what they need so that there is no recidivism. That's how you close a jail. Get them out and don't let them go back. That's enough for me. I love everybody. I miss you. I wish I was there today. I'm sorry I'm not, but I have enjoyed being on here to see everything you have been doing. Deborah has been sending me pictures all morning, and all these pictures I'm saving. Thank you. Andrea's on now, and I'm sure she'd like to say something.
Good morning, everybody. Want to say a big just thank you to the gracious welcome that we received when our team came to be 10 toes on the ground with our beloved Muffin and Christy and Daniel. The work of freedom and racial justice is exactly the type of coalition building that we need to continue to do. We're building this campaign, the national campaign to end incarceration of women and girls. We were there in North Carolina to join with our sisters. We brought the North Carolina quilt with us. That quilt I brought back to Boston with me. I had to get back ahead of a nor'easter that just started kicking up right now as I'm speaking. But we brought that North Carolina quilt back so that it can be put in place with the rest of the quilts from around the country. That quilt is, we have named it Ramona, and that quilt is bordered by all of the federal women who are sick and elderly, survived and punished, and long timers who need to come home. And so this is part of a massive push by women in every state around the country, led by our delegates, women like Muffin and Christy and Mia and Tijuana Brown, and of course, Grandma, but Grandma's our matriarch, so she runs everything. But to send a very clear and sound message to the futility and the illegitimacy of the criminal legal system and the most harmful weapon that it has, called prisons. And we are here as formerly incarcerated women and directly affected women, standing together and building a strong, strong national campaign, a resounding campaign, a campaign where the drumbeat has started and it will only continue to get louder, to say that these are our people. These are our mothers and daughters and grandmothers and sisters and aunts and wives. And we need to bring them home. And so again, Christy and Muffin, the job that you guys have done in your protest every day, every single day, Grandma, Daniel, holding North Carolina down, but every single day having a presence for more than a month outside of Governor Cooper, North Carolina Governor Cooper's home, and a candlelight vigil in honor of our sisters and brothers inside. I thank you for that. And you've set an example for us all. And we will all continue forward with this work in coalition building, because it's the women who are most directly affected, the women who have had the direct experience, who are the experts and who need to be leading this campaign, and who are and who will lead this campaign, not just for clemency, but to end the incarceration of women and girls. So I love you all and I thank you. And let's go, y'all.
We love you, Andrea. Thank you so much for your support, for bringing. You know, I tell people all the time, when I came into this work, I came in as an advocate for domestic violence and substance abuse because I was very ashamed of the fact that I had been incarcerated. It had been so hard for me to get anything, get a place to live, get anything. And so when I met Ramona, and she was so freely talking about her experience of incarceration, if it wasn't for her and the work that y'all have done, I wouldn't even be who I am today. So thank you so much for all the work that y'all have done, that you are doing, and what we will do. And thank you for pouring into us, because it means a lot for y'all to all come to support us. Like, this is the most amazing thing ever is that y'all all came to support our work. So I'm getting teary-eyed because we love you so much, because without your leadership, we wouldn't be where we are. We wouldn't have the deep example of how to lead and how to be gracious in the face of adversity every single time. People disparage our names, they disparage our work, but we still keep pressing on. It's because of the leadership of all of our sisters in the National Council. Kiana, I'm thinking of Leslie Turner, I'm thinking of Amy, who all? Jody Pope, everybody, all of them. I just can't even think of all the wonderful sisters that are doing the work across the country, whose leadership that we look to and we pull from, and we say, oh, we think we can do that. We think we can do that. And so we really appreciate y'all support. It means the world. I mean, it also means that our people are this much closer to getting free. I'm excited.
Oh,
Thank y'all. Love y'all.
coming, showing support, seeing all those free hers, and then seeing the logo all weekend long. It's been wonderful, and we love you.
I love you too, Muff, and I'm sure that my sweatshirt is in the mail. I love y'all. Thank you.
Andrea. Thank you for your leadership. I would not.
Well, this is a collective leadership. Let's get this right, because this is a collective leadership. This is not that type. This is a collective leadership. We have sisters across the country who are doing amazing work, who we are learning from every single day. We are only national by name and support and connectivity. We are all part of 10 toes on the ground in our hyperlocal neighborhoods doing this work. And the point of having the National Council is to connect all of those dots so that when it's time for us to lift our voices and to lift our arms and to lift up this platform of ending incarceration of women and girls, we can do it, and we're going to do it. And we've built a hell of an army, and 10 toes on the ground, we are all. And so let's go, y'all. We're going to do this. And I love each and every one of you.
Yeah, and Irene, I was going to say, if you could stay on, really appreciate you staffing or volunteering for the Zoom. Can you stay on, and people can continue to, if they take further actions, they can continue to record them. I know that we have at least 2 more stops for the RVing for justice, RVing for freedom and racial justice. So we have 2 more stops, and I know some of the National Council members may have another few stops. And so, just appreciate y'all's partnership and leadership, and glad to be a part of this. And thank y'all. But I'm gonna go off of main camera duty and go on silent for a little bit. But I hope the Zoom keeps going.
Yeah. I have one more. Oh, I guess they heard me. I don't know. No, I think I hit the button by mistake.
Yeah, so the floor is open for other people to add their comments or whatever stops they're making on this journey this morning. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm curious, Irene, can you post the News and Observer article from yesterday about the hearing, and if possible, could you read it? I know that's it's early in the morning to be reading publicly, but I think it's important for people to understand the context of not only the prison solidarity drive that we have explained, but also a little more detail about the hearing yesterday and the appointment of the special monitor and the context of that. And I think the News and Observer article does a pretty good job of that. So would you mind reading it?
Yeah, 1 second.
Thank you. and posting it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so I put it in the chat, the link there. Okay, so this was posted yesterday around 1 p.m. to the News and Observer. Headline is Judge Mandates Outside Help for NC Prisons Response to Pandemic. A judge appointed a Duke University administrator on Friday to help with North Carolina's management of prisons during the coronavirus pandemic. Wake County Superior Court Judge Vince, is it Roser? Roser's ruling follows civil rights groups once again asking him to appoint a special master to oversee prisons' response during the pandemic as COVID-19 cases continue to climb, shutting down facilities and resulting in mass transfers that could further spread the virus to vulnerable communities, they said. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Keep on, please.
Roser appointed Thomas K. Mayer, Executive Director of Duke's Wilson Center for Science and Justice, as special master. Roser also ordered that all prison staff who have contact with offenders be tested every 2 weeks. It's appropriate now to seek assistance from a special master, Roser said, particularly in the process of reviewing prisoners who are being considered for extended limits of confinement, which allows qualified offenders to serve out the remainder of their sentence outside of prisons. Mayor will be asked to consult with the state and the civil rights organizations to ensure that there is compliance with the court's orders related to reducing the population, testing, safe transfers, and other concerns, Roser said. The details of the special master's role will be provided in a forthcoming written order. Roser asked an attorney for the plaintiffs to draft the order, but gave the state 2 days to provide an alternative order and its own suggestions. Roser hopes the special master will be able to provide guidance to the two sides to address issues more swiftly, as opposed to coming back to court. If there was no agreement, then obviously I get the final word, Roser said, or the Court of Appeals or Supreme Court if someone appeals. Todd Ishii, North Carolina NCTPS Commissioner of Prisons, said Friday in a statement that the department is doing everything it can to keep employees and incarcerated people safe. He said he welcomes the appointment of an independent person to review and highlight the, quote, exceptional work of prison staff. We are all in this together, and our collective approach must be to stop the spread of this highly contagious virus, he said. Since the court's last review, state officials have taken a bad situation and made it worse. Leah Kang, an ACLU of North Carolina attorney, told Roser on Friday. The situation is compounded by the state's failure to reduce its population enough, and about 1,000 people waiting to transfer to state prisons from county jails, according to a recent court filing by plaintiffs that also include the North Carolina NAACP, Disability Rights North Carolina, and 3 people who are in prison. These developments will almost certainly result in more COVID-19 outbreaks and more human suffering, illness, and death, states a plaintiff's Thursday court filing. The statements were made during a Friday status update hearing related to the lawsuit filed in April. The lawsuit contends that Governor Roy Cooper, Secretary of the North Carolina Department of Public Safety, Eric Hooks, and others aren't doing enough to protect North Carolina's approximately 30,000 people in state prisons from the coronavirus.
And Irene, thank
Stop there.
you very much. I would just want to emphasize before you start the next point, this is a point, we talked about language earlier and how you can actually defend the indefensible. Pay attention to these next few lines and look at how the Attorney General's office described people who are dying from COVID in prisons, and they said, you know, which is completely failed. So just.
You were sort of cutting out there a little bit, but yeah, there's the point that it's easy to justify doing, you know, any number of things to people if you are talking about them as offenders and as sort of less than human. So yeah, I was just like straight reading the article, but yeah, this is the language they are using to describe these folks.
And Irene, the main point I was making was just that the next few lines are key in the article. And I just wanted to highlight and say, pay attention to the next few lines. Thank you.
Okay. Now I'm wondering what you were referring to. I'll keep going. So Rozier said Friday, am I on? Okay. Rozier said Friday he called the hearing as COVID-19 numbers are progressing and after hearing reports of the prison closings. Assistant Attorney General Orlando Rodriguez said state officials have been working diligently and swiftly to prevent COVID-19 in prisons with various actions. Those actions include testing that is more robust than in the general population, reducing the prison population to an all-time low, and increasing eligibility of those who could be released early. The mortality from COVID-19 in prisons is 0.4% compared to 1.4% in the general population, which I actually have a question about that statistic, but we can get back to that. Okay. These numbers are not easy to hear, but much of this is going to happen regardless of how much time and energy they put into responding, Rodriguez said. Mass movements are necessary and expected as prisons work to adjust to staff staying home due to being sick or in quarantine, Rodriguez said, and executed following detailed plans that follow health officials' recommendations. All of the offenders that were moved, they were moved to portions of facilities that did not have offenders in them, he said. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, and I just want to highlight that. That was the language. You know, you have the Attorney General's office, Josh Stein's Attorney General's office, defending the indefensible by basically saying, one, we're talking about offenders, you know, not talking about thousands of people dying in their health, but first we're talking about offenders, and secondly, what is going to happen is going to happen. That was their bottom line response. That is mediocre leadership at its deadliest right there. That is how lack of prioritization, lack of humanization gets us here at this point. And that's, again, our progressive leaders for you. That's where you have the Attorney General's office defending the callousness and ineptitude of Roy Cooper's Department of Public Safety. That's why we are trying to go and tell fierce truth telling to at least let people know what's going on if they didn't already know, and at least confront these actors who in many cases are our friends on many issues, but here their instincts are bad. All they know is mass incarceration. You know, Roy Cooper's entire career, Josh Stein's entire career has been within and supportive of mass incarceration. So the idea that that's why people are skeptical of, you know, even well-intentioned decision makers, you know, really being the answer here. That's why they're skeptical of another task force, because we've had task force before. So, you know, just trying to provide that context. But really appreciate you reading that article, Irene. And I'm going to go back on silent. We're actually coming up to our next site right now.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so where are you all at right now?
We're at Johnston Correctional.
All right. The caravan continues. Again, if you want to read the full article, it's in the chat. I didn't read all of it, but.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I really wanted to get to the point.
No, it's pretty long. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Irene.
Yeah.
In 3/4 of a mile.
Now Johnston is being closed, so we're not sure if even people are here right now. Yeah, don't look. But again, this is one of the issues. They're actually, instead of expanding prisons and actually, you know, one, we want people to be released, to be protected. But two, you would actually need more prisons to be open. And oh, they are here.
They have a plant. They say they make paint out here. This is the Correctional Enterprises paint plant. So that's where they making the paint.
All right, I would stop here.
Yeah, let me just
Can you do a 3-point turn? notice that we're not going past that fence.
I think I'm gonna have to back in. I can do it. Wait a minute, Oliver behind you.
Oh, okay, they're back there. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Oh, see, it's a big.
Oh, I see the red one. Maybe there's another one. And can we just talk about the disrespect of this sign again? Like, they're not testing. Oh, you can go back.
Oh, she's down there. Oh, she's getting there. Mm-hmm. Welcome back.
I just wouldn't even chance it. Or are you just going to back up all the way? If you are, then you should start honking. This is called the backward protest. Oh yeah, I guess you can back up here.
How many cars in the caravan now?
Only a couple. I think we separated, and other people went to some places.
Okay. It says Correction Enterprises, right? This is the Enterprise paint plant in the federal prison that was called Industries.
And we call it slavery.
And look, we got some brothers out there. We got some brothers out there, and they don't even know what's going on.
Free them all! He trying to hurry them out.
I didn't mess up.
Right.
Okay. Because there's actual people out there that you know how she get.
Yeah, she get right.
One of our sisters that stopped us to a bathroom break, the radical protest and radical movements, movement maker and sister. She ain't here for this one, but they must people just rushing in. Get out of here. You seen them, right? Rushing them in. Telling them no.
We out here though.
We got them. They looking like, oh snap, that's for us. Yeah, that's for you.
Yeah.
Because we love you guys. Free them all.
Yeah.
Yep. I think we have one more stop before we go back to the house meeting.
Well, Jordan should take that with us. Where you at? Our phone to get my location. Cause he might got an iPhone. Try to drop your location and see if he can get it. Tell them they missed this one. They would have been happy with that. They said they were going to call it in response to the other one.
Mr. Johnston. Hold on.
Correctional.
Johnston Correctional Institution. This where we coming from. We done hit 3 of them already. Smithfield, North Carolina. We going statewide, across the state. Across the state to do this. What, are you kidding us? It's not just one. We hitting them all as many as we can.
Yeah, we're at Johnson Correctional Institute. Listen, we can go to another one because he said 2 stops. But when they responded, they said they went back to
They was outside. Huh? You got an iPhone? We finished. Where you at? Oh wow. If you had an iPhone, I could have dropped you my location. I could have shared my location. Oh, so they leaving. She got an iPhone. Chrissy and them just going out. Okay, so I'm gonna share my location. Okay. Chrissy and them just went past them. So
They were at Johnson Correctional.
call the muffin and get an actual what. Oh wait, she's I'm still on the thing. This way quick. So if I be safe, I'm gonna say I am. Yeah, I'm still on the Zoom.
So
Here,
we have
hey, what's really going on? Like, what you doing? Hey, where are we going next? Because we're trying to get Daniel back. I mean, not Daniel. We're trying to get Jordan and Dan back with us.
why don't we go off the Zoom for now and then go on a different Zoom so this can be recorded, put out. But basically, we're at the gas station that we met at last time, Christy. If you know where that is, it should be on the right, the Handy Mart. We can wait here for everybody to catch up, and then Muffin, are we going to as a final stop? Are we going back to the women's prison or Wake Correctional?
The women's.
All right, we're gonna go back to the women's prison. So if y'all want to stage at the vigil, and then we can just sort of go from the vigil and the women's prison as a final stop, they can meet up with us there.
Are you saying they can meet up with us at the vigil?
Right here.
Yeah, they can either meet up with us right now at the Handy Mart. We're parked at the gas station that was right after Johnston, or if they're further apart.
I need to get some gas. Okay, we'll tell them about the Handy Mart.
Okay, and then but we are going we're going back to women's prison, and so we can either meet at the vigil site or just go on to women's prison.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so am I recording or stop?
Yeah, Irene, I was going to ask, I think we're ready to go off Zoom. I think we'll have that one stop, but we'll be able to sort of do that on our own and record it. So I think you're good to stop the recording and go off Zoom, and really appreciate your help recording this.
I got you, man.
So I want to make sure people get the next Zoom link. Should I just put that in the chat?
Oh, you got one? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes, if you could do that, send out another Zoom link for us to just communicate.